Oh, there you go. G-Mag, what's good, man? I can't hear you. Yo, what's good? How you doing? I can't.
There, hopefully that worked.
Now you're rolling, man. How you doing, man?
It wasn't working.
It wasn't working at first.
Letting us do it.
It wasn't working at first, though.
Don't worry. Now you're good, man. Shout out to you and your wife, man. Much respect, bro.
He kind of had to help me out with it, so I was like, oh crap, it's not working.
Oh, okay. But now it's good. Now it's good. Let me ask you this: what's your opinion about the Nets, bro? What do you think about the Nets and especially Ben Simmons, man? I'm not a fan. I'm definitely not a fan of Ben Simmons. But what do you think about him and the Nets?
I think Ben Simmons is a very talented ball player. I think sometimes he gets in his own way, in his own head. You know what I'm saying? I think sometimes he lacks the mental toughness as a ball player. I mean, he has talent for sure. He's a very good defender. He's a capable passer, solid rebounder. He needs to improve his shooting, though. His shooting has been abysmal. His free throw shooting has been horrible through his career. And he's just too talented a ball player not to really work on his fundamentals as a basketball player. You know, because if he wants to last long in this league, one thing he's going to have to do is prove his jump shot. You know, guys who last long in this league need to be better jump shooters, and he just simply isn't. And I don't know why, for some reason.
Maybe it's like a mental block, you know, because every summer we see Ben Simmons shooting threes. He was working with Rajon Rondo in the off season, and to me it's like it's rare to see a player not working on his fundamentals and working on his shooting. We are not saying that he has to turn into Stephen Curry or something like that, you know, but you gotta improve that part of the game because, bro, when I was watching the Nets playing the Lakers. And come on, man, it's like tragic. It's a tragedy to watch Ben Simmons not look at the rim. He's looking to pass the ball. He's fucking scared to play basketball, and you cannot play that way. It's like he's dribbling, looking for someone to pass the ball, It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, it's like he got his contract, and once he got his money, he forgot how to play basketball for some reason. It's like, okay, I got my contract, I'm good, you know. And it's kind of a shame, too, because when he first came to the league, people saw a lot of potential. People were comparing him to be like the next LeBron to some people. You know, I remember when he first came out. When I first saw, I didn't see that, though. You know, I didn't see when I first came out. I didn't see the work ethic. You know, when he started coming in the league. And he showed great potential when he first came in, but I just didn't see that look in his eye. Because, you know, some players, they had that look in their eye, like Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan and Bird. They always had that look in their eye like they wanted to improve. They had that raw determination to get better, to improve their game, to work on their game. And just the way they talk, their attitude, their demeanor, their posture when they're on the court. And you don't see that with Ben Simmons. You just don't. You know, you see a guy who's afraid to shoot the basketball. You know, it's like he forgot how to play ball for some damn reason. I don't even know why. I mean, he's just too talented a ball for not to. It's ridiculous.
And I wouldn't have a problem if he would be 6'3". If he was a small guard, I wouldn't have a problem, bro. You're 6'10", bro. You try to put some pressure on the rim. Try to do something, bro. If you were a little guard, I wouldn't have a problem with you. But you are 6'10", bro. We got a comment there. Ben Simmons has to leave the team because he's already low star level performance. My MVP this year, Curry #1. Wow, that's incredible, man. He has Curry as the MVP, but yeah, and I was talking to my audience and I was telling them, like, I didn't realize that Ben Simmons was the highest paid player on the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, he is. He's very high paid. And it's incredible. When you look at a player like Bridges, though, he's a very talented ball player, good 3D ball player, can shoot, can defend. You know, I like Bridges a lot, though. I think he's a really good, solid player. I think it was a good trade for the Nets acquiring him. He really showed a lot of strides last season for them. To me, I think he's one of the best players on their team right now at the moment. It's him. It's Bridges.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna ask you something. What do you think about the whole Ja Morant thing? You know, last year he was ranked number 9, which was crazy to me to have him in the top 10, and now he's like 35. Which also crazy to have him maybe ranked that low. What do you think about that dropout and the whole situation with Ja this year?
I kind of see why people dropped him a little bit because of the whole gun situation, though. That kind of left a really bad reputation in people's mouths. You know, it shows his lack of immaturity, you know, because, you know, people look up to professional athletes, you know what I'm saying? You know, They look at us like the Tom Brady's of the world. You know, people look up to those guys. They see them as inspirations. You know what I'm saying? And then when you see someone like John Morant, who's supposed to be representing the NBA, who's supposed to be this young player, who's up-and-coming player, who's got all this superstar talent, and then he's doing things that are not very, well, I say, intelligent, like he was doing, then it really leaves a bad impression. You know, anything like that. And when you do those kind of things, though, it's like, you're like, wait a minute here. You know, you expect young kids to be like you, want to be like you, and you're supposed to be setting an example, and then you do stuff like this. What are young kids supposed to say, though, who want to come in and be a battle player? It's cool to just wave around a gun and think it's cool? It's not. It's just not. It sets a very bad precedent. You know, it's not right. And, you know, when you have a platform like some of these NBA players do, you have to be careful what you say and what you're doing because everybody's watching you, you know? Because you have all these social media platforms nowadays like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok now, you know? And that stuff is everywhere. When people see, like, wait a minute, what the heck is he doing here? You know? So like when we see, like, for example, like when we saw in the Shop episode once with LeBron James, when the guy asked him the question, why do you hate Boston? And LeBron said, because they're racist as fuck. I mean, you have to think about what you're saying too, though, you know what I'm saying? When you say stuff like that, you know, somebody asks you a hateful question like that, you don't give a hateful response. You say to him, say, hey, listen, what you said is wrong because hate is wrong. You don't promote hate. Okay? You can say to me, hey, like rephrase the question, I say, you know, why are you not a big fan of Boston? And they say, okay, I'm not a big fan because of, you know, the way I was treated in certain situations with certain individuals, you know, the way they behave towards me, you know, and not everybody's like that, you know what I'm saying? You know, when you start phrasing that way, it shows your intelligence as a basketball player. It shows people, hey, you know, he's not just, you know, just going with his first gut reaction. He's actually thinking about what he's going to say before he does something. Okay? Those are just prime examples of this, you know? And it's like that. It's like with I saw with Dwayne Wade, two examples. I remember him saying he used the race card as an excuse why no one liked the Miami Heat team when they joined forces together. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, that's not the reason why people didn't like you guys.
Yep.
The reason why people didn't like you guys is because you guys were very arrogant. You guys were bragging like you had already won a championship when you guys hadn't won anything yet or played a single minute together.
They had a parade before winning.
Exactly. They even had a big sign, we did it. What did you guys do exactly? You guys hadn't won a championship together. You haven't won yet. I mean, LeBron had no rings at that time period. He hadn't even won a final game at that time period. Oh, none. He hadn't been in the finals like 3 years up to that period. I mean, that's why I didn't get it. I'm like, seriously? And he used that as an excuse. I'm like, come on, that's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I didn't agree with that at all. I just didn't.
Me neither. And we live nowadays in a generation where, you know, you send out a tweet and then you can say, oh no, but I was hacked. And same with the media, it happens a lot. You know that someone says something and they say, oh no, but you misinterpreted my thoughts. You take me out of context. It's like that's a message that then obviously I'm trying to work in, and I've been telling my audience the same thing. It's like you should try to think before you say something, or if you say something, stand on your fucking nuts about that shit.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, obviously, you know, everybody makes mistakes. No one's perfect, you know. But, you know, when somebody asks you certain questions, though, like that, you know, you have to say, okay, that's not. If somebody would ask me a question like they asked LeBron like that, why do you hate Boston? I would have not responded that way because I know there's a better way to respond to that. You know, it just is. You know, and it's not just those things like with LeBron James too. It's like things with, like you said, with John Morant as well, the whole gun situation. You know, the whole thing with Ben Simmons, too, as well, and his behavior as well, too. You know, and then you see the whole thing with Draymond Green punching his team out in practice with Jordan Poole as well, too. I mean, it's like, come on, guys. I mean, you guys are getting paid millions and millions of dollars. You expect people to look up to you, and then you do shit like this. It's like, come on.
And they are media trained. They know how to work with questions. They know how to give certain answers that can, like give a different perspective, but sometimes... But it's like, you know, when a player is like too honest, sometimes we want them to be like fake, you know, and when they are fake, we want them to be honest. It's like, it's a crazy rabbit hole, you know. But he said, wow, John Moran, ESPN News, list 35. Wow, it's crazy, man. Having 35.
John Moran, he's a very talented ball player, very explosive. There's no question about his talent. You know, I just think he needs to get his head on straight. You know what I'm saying? He does. He's too talented of a ball player to do the things he's doing. You know what I'm saying? He wants people to look up to him, but when you're doing things like that, no one's gonna look up to you. They're just not. You know?
Yeah, and like a lot of people, celebrities, NBA ball players, they want the recognition, but they don't want like to face the scrutiny, you know, because of the things that you did. Because Ja Morant got in this trouble because of him, not because of, or maybe people are gonna say, oh, because of the people that were surrounding him and shit like that. But it was him. The reason that he lost 60 million, the reason that he got suspended 25 games, is he gonna learn when he comes back from this suspension, or he's gonna still be, you know, when Ja Morant said what we were already talking, saying, oh, I'm fine in the West. I'm fine in the West. Bro, come on, man. Come on, man.
You know, I mean, yeah, the whole situation with Ja Morant, though, I mean, I just think, you know, he's got to get his head on straight, though, man. And in order to get your head on straight, man, you got to look at your life and look at what you're doing wrong. And say, you know, am I setting the right example for myself? Am I setting the example for the people around me? You know, am I being an inspiration to other people and to myself? You know, do I like what I'm seeing for myself? You know what I'm saying? You have to ask them all those questions, you know. And if you can't honestly be open with yourself, though, then how do you expect to make changes in your life?
Yup, we got a comment here. Alexander, number 8. Oh, aún no veo la lista. I haven't seen the list yet. Shout out, saludito ahí a Derlin. Let me ask you this. Who's the best leader in the NBA for you?
Well, you know, like I said, leadership, I look at leadership a lot differently than most people because I used to be in the military. So to me, to be a good leader is about setting the right example. You can't be a leader unless you know how to follow. Then, because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm a good leader, but if you don't understand how to follow someone first, how can you expect to be a leader? You can't. It's not possible. Okay? And being a leader is about setting the right example. It's not about degrading people in front of other people, you know what I'm saying? You know, and humiliating them. That's not the way of being a good leader. It's about listening, open communication, understanding where people are coming from, you know, and really being able to connect with people to get a point where they're coming from, what their backgrounds are, you know, because you can't take the same approach with everybody. You have to take the approach with everybody. Everybody's not the same. Everybody's different. You know, man. You know, and you have to know, you know, when you're a leader amongst people, amongst men, especially back or anything that matter, you have to know how to set the right example. You know what I'm saying? By saying the right things, doing the right things. You know, when you're doing those kind of things, it leaves an impression on everybody else. You know what I'm saying? You know, now I understand there's certain people that lead certain ways, and I'm not saying that their way is better than other ways. Everyone does the thing differently. But for me to be a good leader, you know, you have to set the right tone for yourself and for others. You know, you have to be an inspiration to others and to yourself. You know, you have to be open communication to other people. Now, if you see like you're having problems and issues with somebody, pull them aside. Don't berate them in front of other people. I saw that a lot in the military, and I used to dislike it so damn much when I used to do the military constantly. Okay? That's not how you lead people. Okay? If you want people to follow you, okay, then you gotta set a good example. Okay? You gotta sit down there, have an open conversation with them, and treat them like they're human beings. Don't treat them like another number, another statistic. Because when you do that, guess what? No one wants to be you. No one wants you leading them. Nobody does. You know? And you gotta treat people fairly, but you also gotta be tough too. You gotta give people some tough love sometimes too. It's necessary. It's necessary. You know, because that helps them get them back on the right track. Like, oh, okay, I'm doing this wrong. You know, but do it in a way though that's not going to humiliate them or degrade them in any way possible. When you do that, not only will they respect you, but you'll start respecting yourself more too as well, because you're setting the right example for them. You know.
To me, I think I agree completely, 100% with you. To me, I think I would say Jimmy. To me, Jimmy Butler. If I would have to pick one player, I think Jimmy Butler is the best leader in the NBA. Is that crazy to say?
Well, Jimmy Butler, he has this kind of mentality. He has this dogfighter mentality. Yep. You know what I'm saying? But he's like, hey, he expects a certain thing from his teammates. And like, hey, if I wouldn't do it, then I don't expect you to do it. If I won't do it myself. If I'm not willing to go for a loose ball on the ground, then how can I expect my teammates to go for a loose ball on the ground? If I'm not willing to, I'm not willing to go the extra mile and put the work in, then how do I expect the guys around me to do the same thing? Because you're not setting the right example. You know what I'm saying?
Yup, definitely, man.
You just have to do it. Because if you look at guys like Dennis Rodman back in the day, Dennis Rodman was like jumping lanes for balls, going out there, you know what I'm saying, and putting his body on the line, you know what I'm saying? And then look at guys like Bird, too. When players on your team see you do that, like, wow, if he's doing it, that means we want to do it too. You know what I'm saying? Because if he's willing to go that mile, then damn it, I'm going to go the same mile too. You know, but you got to be willing to do that too as a leader, though. And if the guys see, you know, if you have this attitude as a leader, like, you know, like, yeah, I'm better than everybody else, and I think I'm cool and all this crap, no one's going to want to follow
Being
you.
condescending.
No matter how talented. Yeah, no one wants to follow around a player who has a big ego. No one does. Eventually, it gets tired and gets old, and that's why you see a lot of players after they get done playing with certain individuals, they speak out against them. Say, hey, I didn't like enjoying playing with them. Of course, he was, you know, he set a really bad example. You know, he was never disciplined in locker rooms. You know, so he didn't want to come to meetings. He didn't want to interact with the guys on the team.
Being late for flights.
Like that. Exactly. Those set the wrong. When you're a leader, you have to set wrong. I always say, when you're a leader, you're the first one in the room, and you're the last one to damn leave.
That's great. That's great, man. I've been saying that ever since, like, a long time ago. And sometimes we don't talk about this particular part of the game. You know, we talk about, like, oh, he doesn't shoot. Oh, he shoot. Oh, he attacks the rim. He's a defender. But we don't talk enough about leadership. You know, and that's part of the exercise that I've been doing like these couple of days, like doing a preview for each team. And then I go through I go through the team, and I ask the question, who's the leader of this team? You know, and sometimes it's not very clearly who's the leader. Sometimes it might be the coach. The coach, it can be the leader too.
No question about it. You know what I'm saying? No, but I think when it comes to whether it's sports or anything like that, you know, someone has to step and say, hey, everybody on me, follow me, let's go. You know what I'm saying? And when you see guys, when they say this, I'm like this. When one person's not doing their job, you're all not doing your job. Because when you're playing basketball, it's a team sport. You know what I'm saying? You know, if one guy drops the ball, you're all dropping the ball. Because guess what? At the end of the day, if you lose, you all lost.
We win together, we lose together.
Exactly. But nowadays, I mean, I'm not saying it's like that with every player, but you see a lot of players, when they lose, you know, they're willing to blame this guy. They're willing to, no. Everybody's at fault. You know, when one guy does the ball, you're all dropping the damn ball. It's not just this certain individual. Yes, he may have made the mistake, though, but did anybody hold him accountable for his mistake?
Like Joel Embiid. After they lost the 3-2 lead against Boston, he said, he went into the podium and said, I cannot win by myself. Me and James cannot win by ourselves. We need everybody. It's like, it was exactly what you were saying. And sometimes with Giannis too, the fact that he said, oh, this was not a failure and shit like that, it's like,
to me, you know, and that's what, you know, if you look at the players today, the one I like Jokic, because Jokic just says the way it is. You know, say, hey, you know, we're a team. You know, we got to do our job. Everybody's got to play their parts. Everybody's got to play their roles. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he's one of the most humble superstars in the league right now, Jokic. You know what I'm saying? He really is. You know, he's not arrogant. He doesn't try to be somebody he's not. You know, like, after they won the championship, like, hey, I'm going to go back to my home Serbia and I'll go. That's where my family horses.
Job's done. Job's done. We can go home now.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? You know, but a lot of these guys, you know, and I understand, you know, there's a lot of pressure, expectation, you're making a lot of money. I get it, you know what I'm saying? But just because you're making a lot of money, it doesn't mean you have to start being a good individual. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. Because we look at some of celebrities today, like they have Keanu Reeves. Now everybody knows who Keanu Reeves is.
Yep.
Keanu Reeves is world famous, but you look at Keanu Reeves though, you will never see Keanu Reeves be rude to somebody. You just won't. You never see him go be rude for no matter how tired or exhausted he is. I've seen him many times, you know, when he's coming out of the airport like that, stuff like that. He's exhausted. You can tell he looks really tired, but he still goes up and greets the fan or smiles and gives him a handshake. You know what I'm saying? You know, I've seen him even eat with a homeless person once. You know, they just have a whole conversation with him. I've seen him do that too. You know, you don't see a lot of famous people do that anymore. You just don't. It's very rare. It's very rare.
And I don't know him, but I'm pretty sure he's not doing that for the cameras, right? For the paparazzis, right?
Oh no! Actually, I know because it gets it's happening to him all day. He's like that everywhere.
Yep.
He's like wherever he goes. I've seen him when he's been on airports. I've seen him when he's been just on movie sets. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's ever come across him, that's the way he acts. You know what I'm saying? But people forget he's been through a lot in his life too, though. People don't realize how much tragedy he's gone through in his life, though, and how much struggle he's had in his life too. People overlook that too as well. about him.
And what you said about Jokic is 100% true, man. It's a new flavor, you know. And sometimes we are accustomed to with a other flavor, you know, being arrogant, like being a top dog, like speaking publicly, asking for help. Have you ever seen Jokic come up in an interview or somewhere saying, "Oh, I don't have enough help. I don't know if I'm gonna sign here. The front office has to do these changes to me for me to sign here." We've never seen something like that from Jokic, and that's something that it makes me mad because I support Jokic and I support Denver. That people till to this day they are not giving Jokic his credit. First they said, "Oh, he's fat. Oh, he's lazy. Oh, he's boring. Oh, he doesn't play defense. Oh, he always flames out in the playoffs. Oh, you cannot win a championship with him. Blah blah blah." Then he did it, and now people are saying, "Oh, I don't know, maybe I don't trust in Jokic because probably he's gonna retire in 5 years. I don't trust in his motivation." Really, they are always trying to find something to not give this dude a credit that he deserves.
Well, it's like with Tim Duncan too. Like if you look at Tim Duncan now, I've seen a lot of people when they talk about Duncan, they don't. A lot of people still undervalue him for some reason though. Why? Because he wasn't as vocal as people wanted him to be. You know, but he still went out there, did his thing. You know, he never freaking. You know, I mean, everybody gets on their team a little bit, of course. You know what I'm saying? In a sport, you're competing. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people didn't like the way Tim Duncan played. Tim Duncan's boring. The scores are boring. You know what I'm saying? No one's interested in this team, but yet they kept winning every year. You know. Because Duncan was the kind of leader, he just set an example. You know, he just went out there, did his thing. He played his game, you know, set the right tone for him and his teammates. That's what he did, you know. And Jokic kind of does the same thing. You don't always have to be like this very outbrash, very like extravagant vocal leader. You know, not everybody's Michael Jordan, not everybody's Kobe Bryant, not everybody's LeBron James. Everybody has a different personality, and sometimes it's nice to see a guy like a Jokic or Tim Duncan who has a different personality, who leads a different way. But like I said, everybody leads different. But if as long as it produces the results, and the guys in your team are willing to follow you, and you're setting the right example for them, that's all that matters. You know, it's the moment when your team starts speaking out against you, you know, something like that, and start criticizing you for your bad leadership, then you got a problem.
Yeah, and all this narrative. Oh, the NBA is like putting international players in the front page, like to make them favorites to win MVP. It's like, bro, you are not. Bro, is the NBA giving you an MVP award, or are you earning that MVP award? It's like I think that's also had been my premise ever since I started my podcast. It's like I'm supporting international players. Joel Embiid is not an international player anymore, right?
Well, no. Well, to me, he's still international. He's from Cameroon. He was born and raised in Cameroon.
But he will represent the U.S. It's like, to me, at least to me, after I saw that he was representing the United States, to me, he's not an international player. He's from the U.S.
Well, to me, it's like I said, like Akeem Olajuwon.
Yep.
You know, I don't consider Akeem an American player because Akeem wasn't born in America. You know what I'm saying? You know, he came from different heritage. You know what I'm saying? You know, people look at Patrick Ewing. Believe it or not, Patrick Ewing's not really American. He was Jamaican. Yep. You know what I'm saying? But people seem to forget about that about him too. You know,
Dominique wasn't Dominique born in France too, or something like that? Let me check that.
I know because like Tony Parker, like people think Tony Parker's French. Actually, Tony Parker is not French. Actually,
that's crazy, man. Who do you think is the biggest threat to the Denver Nuggets in the West? The Phoenix Suns, the Lakers, Warriors?
Like I said, health is always important, especially when you're competing in the Western Conference or in the East, that matter. And we look at the West Conference last year was very chaotic and very messy last year. But like I said, injuries played a big part last year in the playoffs last year. If we look at Memphis, Steven Adams was out the entire playoffs last year. He's their best rebounder. He's one of the best offensive in the league, and they didn't have him that series against the Lakers, which made a big difference. We saw in the Minnesota series when they played Lakers in the play-in tournament game, Gobert did not play the game. That made a big difference. I believe if Gobert were to play the game, I don't believe Lakers win that play-in tournament game. I don't, because that made a big difference. He didn't play, you know. And we look at so many other aspects. We look at the Phoenix series. You know, Chris Paul got hurt in that series against Denver as well too. People forget this. We look at the Clippers series. You know, Kawhi and PG. Kawhi got hurt over that series. PG didn't play at all that series. It made a big difference in that series. Because I believe Kawhi and PG playing that series is a whole different series. And then we look at the Milwaukee series. Giannis was hurt half the series against Miami too. That played a difference as well. Yeah, I mean, I think Miami could have still won this for sure, but Giannis being out and not being 100%, it definitely played a factor. You know what I'm saying? And we also looked at Miami at the end too. Not having Tyler Hero eventually took a toll on the Heat eventually after a while because they lacked another score option once Butler started slowing down, you know, and stuff. That made a big difference too because we look at my head, Butler and Bam, but after that, who was that third scoring option? They had to keep looking for a game after game. Was it Strauss? Was it Gabe Vincent? Was it Caleb Martin? With Hero, they didn't have that question. But against a team like Denver, we saw that lack of a third scorer option did play a factor eventually as that started went on, though. You know, because they're like, who's going to be the guy? Who's going to be that third option? Or if Butler has an off night, who's going to be the number one and then the go-to option after that? You know? And that was really Miami's doing that series well. So injuries do play a big factor in things, too. And we saw that. It may have not affected Miami right away, but as the series went on, though, against Denver, we saw not having a Hero made a big difference.
Yep, and I checked. Dominique was born in France, in Paris.
Yeah, because people think about Tony Parker. Tony Parker's not even French, actually. Tony Parker was actually born in Belgium, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
The same with Sabonis kid. The Sabonis kid, he was born in the U.S. He represents Lithuania, but he was born in the U.S. too.
Yeah. That's why I always think it's very interesting. What do you consider an American player? What do you consider an international player? Because really think about it, what really is an American exactly nowadays? I mean, if you've really been technical about it, really, I mean, think about it. To me, when I think America, I think of the Native Americans.
Yup.
To be honest with you, you know, and I always look at that too when people say, "Oh, I'm an American." I said, well, technically, most of you guys come from either European descent or some African descent, or from this kind of descent. When you look at your background, your histories, most of you guys, which is technically true, you know, it's very true. And then look at most people who are actually born in America. Most of them are actually Native Americans. That's why they call them the Native Americans.
Yep. You know, to me, people have a lot of faith in the Phoenix Suns, but to me, you know, when the tough gets tougher, when it's 5 minutes to go, when it's 2 minutes to go in a game that you are down, that you have to win, who's gonna set up the offense? Because Kevin Durant has been saying all this BS to me that it's positionless basketball nowadays. We don't need a point guard and shit like that. But to me, it's like, bro, you need someone to work the traffic, to organize the offense, and to run some plays. It's like you're probably gonna win in the regular season, but I don't think the Phoenix Suns can win big in the playoffs, especially because they don't have a true leader. Who's the leader of the Phoenix Suns? Booker?
Yeah, I see what you're understanding too. Is like when people talk about this positionless basketball in the NBA today, it has its positives, but it also has its negative too. When you play positionless basketball, a lot of times you're going to have guys who are not used to playing certain positions, who are not capable of playing that positions, who either don't have the skill set or the size. And we see a lot of that in the NBA. And that helps also inflate the scoring in the league today as well, too. Because if you got a guy who's like, you know, we'll say that guys like, you know, playing small forward, right? Now, most small forwards are somewhere between like 6'7" and 6'9", most small forwards, right? Or 6'6" at least. But sometimes you got guys 6'4", 6'5" playing the small forward position, though, who don't have the size to play the position, you know, or the skills of some guys. Or you have some guys playing center. Now most centers are somewhere between like 6'10" to like, you know, 7'2" sometimes, or
like
taller.
Bam.
Most guys. But then you have a guy like 6'7", 6'8" playing center, and then you're like, well, why are they getting dog walked? Well, you're getting dog walked because you got a guy 6'7" playing center who doesn't have the size to play the position. You know, or like this, like we have Rudy Gobert, right? They expect Rudy Gobert to play position basketball, but the problem is Rudy Gobert cannot, because why? His skill set is not built to play positionless basketball. Because Rudy Gobert is more of a rim protector.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Now, if Rudy Gobert played in the 90s, he'd be a lot more effective.
Or in FIBA.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If he played at night, he'd be a lot more effective. In this era, you know, it doesn't really work for a guy like him because he's not capable of being able to guard or play more because of his lack of skill set. You know what I'm saying? He has the size, but he lacks the skill set to play certain position because of this reason. You know, that's why I'm not really a big fan of positionless basketball. And that's why you see a lot of teams getting exploited defensively. That's why you see a lot of inflation in scoring. That's why, a lot of times when you play basketball, a lot of people play small ball too. When you play small basketball, yeah, you play faster, but guess what though? When you're going against teams who's your size, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get beat down below. They're going to punish you inside the painted area. Now they're going to post you down the block a lot of times as well too. That's going to affect your defense as well too. People don't look at, they don't take that as a factor as well too. So to me, I think positionless basketball is good for certain things, but I think positionless basketball has also been a bad thing for the NBA too as well. And people say the players back then in the day couldn't play the way that is today. That's crap, because if you look at a lot of players back then, they were capable of playing that way. Scottie Pippen was a very versatile player. He could play the 1, he could play the 2 or the 3. Look at Robin, he could play the 4 or the 5 back then. Look at Kukoc. He was a stretch 4. He could play the 3 or the 4 at times. As well too. Harper could play the 1 or 2s a lot of times. And stuff. Look at Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan played power forward or center back in the day. A lot of people label Duncan as a power forward, but he could play center though. He was very capable of playing center very easily. Look at Bird. Bird could play. They were like, oh, Bird was only a small forward, but Bird played power forward a lot early in his career, and then switched to small forward later on. Which people say a lot of times too about him. Yeah, look at Magic. Look at Magic in the finals when Kareem got hurt. Magic was playing center for crying out loud.
I really appreciate your take about positionless basketball. And to me, it's like it's a cute label, to put in this movement nowadays, right? It's like it's cute to say, oh, we play positionless basketball, but it's like I've not buy into that concept like a lot of people, It's like, but to me, it's like a nice label to put in this era of basketball.
Yeah, I think the reason why I do that because I want to think like, oh, the players are capable of playing multiple positions on the court, and basically say, hey, the players are more capable of doing it today than they were back then, which is just not true. There were many players back then that were very capable of playing multiple positions, back in the day. They were very, very skilled players back then. But a lot of people forget about a lot of those guys too, because they get so fixated on the player today, though, that they forget about the players who are capable of doing multiple and playing multiple. If we look at a guy like Akeem was an incredibly versatile player. A guy who could score, rebound, play defense, had great post-up moves, people overlook guys like this, or other players too as well, But look at Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain was an incredibly skilled player. He could score, he could rebound the basketball, he could block shots. Wilt Chamberlain had passing ability too as well. People overlook these factors too as well. Look at Oscar Robertson. Oscar Robertson was an incredibly gifted ball player. He could score with the basketball.
He was tall.
Yeah, he was only 6'5", and people like to disrespect John Stockton, what I'm saying? I hear it all the time, constantly, the different type of Stockton games. But people forget it. Stockton, the man was 6'1". He wasn't like he was a massive dude. But if you look at what he was doing in his time period, his era, he was playing in the air, was very physical, very defense-oriented, where a guy would allow to hand check you, move you a certain way, and take you to certain positions, and get you out of you couldn't make certain plays. You didn't have the space to operate as much. So when you threw those passes, the windows were a lot tighter and a lot more difficult. So you had to make sure you threw with more accuracy and precision. Otherwise, those passes were getting picked up and taken the other way back in those days. It just were, and stuff. But that is a skill set too, though. It's about making the right at the right moments, you know what I'm saying? And people say, oh, Stockton couldn't do behind back passes. Dude, I've seen John Stockton do plenty of behind the back passes a ton of times and stuff. I've seen John make baseball passes across the court. You know what I'm saying? And like, what film are you guys watching about some of these players? You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. It's just crazy to me to think that way. It's just, I don't get it.
Facts, and that's why we need people like you, man, here in the basketball discourse. But in regards with Phoenix, to me, it's like, who's the player that when they are down 5 points, 2 minutes left, is gonna when Giannis he smashed like a chair, and he was saying, hey, we gotta play better and shit, and everybody was locked in what he was saying. The same with Jokic last year, going, hey, I don't care if we scored, let's run this play and try to execute it. Who's gonna be that player for the Phoenix Suns? Is gonna be KD, the one saying, oh, we gotta play better now, we gotta locked in, trust in me? Who's that player? I don't see it.
Well, I don't think it's Bradley Beal, though, because look at Bradley Beal in Washington. He was a very good player, but I never saw the Bradley Beal. He's a talented baller for the score and shoot, But Bradley Beal never really was that kind of leader or that kind of that alpha dog, that number one option like people wanted to make him out
It
to
was
be.
John Wall, right?
I think Booker's a very yeah, John Wall too. Yeah, of course, yeah. And look at Devin Booker. Devin Booker can score, he can shoot, he's a good defender. But Booker has passing ability, and I think he could be the floor general. But in order for that to happen, Booker's going to have to probably score a little bit less in order for that to happen. You know what I'm saying? I say, hey, Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, you guys be the shooters on the perimeter, and I run the offense. Now, if they go that direction, and Booker's willing to accept that kind of role, where he's going to score a little less, but he's going to facilitate more and get guys more involved, instead of Beal and KD on the perimeter, they're not going to perimeter. Then it might work, but I don't know if Booker's going to be willing to do that, though. You know what I'm saying? Because Booker's kind of a player, he has a score-first mentality, like Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal. Those guys have score-first mentality. They don't pass first and throw and score second. You know what I'm saying? Some players don't have that mentality. You know what I'm saying? Some players do. Dame Leonard doesn't have that mentality. He's a score-first player.
Conditioned to score, right?
Exactly. We look at guys like John Stockton or Mark Price. Those guys were pass first, score second. Or Steve Nash, same thing. Pass first, score second. Or Rondo, same thing. Those guys have that mentality. These guys on Phoenix team don't. For me, Phoenix is going to need someone to be the playmaker. When it gets down to the point, like you said, you're going to need somebody to facilitate your offense. And me personally, I don't think it's going to be Kevin Durant, to be honest with you, because Kevin Durant's more of a scorer.
His fucking handle is weak, bro. He's weak.
I don't think it's going to be Bradley Beal and stuff. The only guy that can be really taking on that option would be Booker. But Booker's going to have to be willing to embrace that kind of role. And the question is he going to be willing to? I don't know, because I haven't really seen him do it. Now, I've seen him show at times, his playmaking ability, because I think he does have playmaking ability for sure. He's a very talented ball player. But to be an ultimate playmaker, to be a facilitator, you have to have that mindset. Okay, I'm going to score less, and I'm going to have to brace my inner Magic Johnson or Rondo, and say, hey, I'm going to be a facilitator and set everybody else up, and let my offense come to me later on.
And why KD keeps getting into this three-headed monster? First, it didn't work out in Brooklyn with KD, Kyrie, Harden. Now it's some way very similar to what the Phoenix Suns are trying to build with Bradley Beal, Booker, and KD. But why KD keeps getting into this type of teams? If he doesn't. Bro, if he doesn't get at least to the Western Conference this year, I don't want to hear ever about KD. I mean, maybe some people may think that I'm crazy. I don't care. But to me, KD is a glorified Carmelo Anthony, man. It's because people say, because when I compare KD to other players, I ask him, who's a better rebounder? Who's a better assist playmaker? And they always say, but that's not KD's job. KD's not there to do that. So what is KD's job? To only score?
And listen, Kevin Durant's a very good developer. No one's questioning about, man. Kevin Durant's a very good scorer. Can get a shot against anybody. No one debates it. He's a solid rebounder too. He's not a bad player. He's not a great passer, but he's a solid passer. He's a good defender too, when he really wants to put the effort out on the defensive end. But for me, Kevin Durant is he's a superstar. There's no doubt about it. He's a bona fide superstar. No one questions this. But Kevin Durant's the kind of ball player, like I said, some players have that mentality, you know what I'm saying? They have that alpha dog, number one option mentality. He has the talent of a number one option. But sometimes he doesn't always have the mentality of a number one option. You know what I'm saying? We look at guys who have their mentality. We look at a guy like Hakeem Olajuwon. We look at guys like Larry Bird. You know what I'm saying? They had that mentality about them. You know what I'm saying?
They were dogs.
Isaiah Thomas. Even Isaiah Thomas, even he had that mentality. You know what I'm saying? Even he had it in him, as well. When people forget, he had that mentality as well, And Kevin, I think that's why Kevin went and going to Golden State Warriors, because, where he could still be the guy, but not have to be the guy.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? In a way. Exactly. If we win, great. If we don't, then it's not my team, it's Steph's team. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like what LeBron did. If we don't win in mine, it's not really my team. It's kind of it's G-Wade's team, because he's the champion. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of the same damn thing. You know what I'm saying? It's I can still be the man, but if we don't succeed, well, then it's not my team. So don't split off
maybe
me. Something
similar to what Damian Lillard did this summer. If we succeed, if we win, it's great. But if we don't win, Lillard said he acknowledged that now he's playing with a better player than him. if we want to believe in or not, that's on us. But maybe something similar to what Lillard is doing right with the Bucks, right?
Well, I think 𝕮𝕳𝕴𝕷𝕰 is a little bit different, because I think we can't compare him to KD and like that stuff, because look at Dame. Dame had talent in Portland, but Dame didn't have the kind of talent that Kevin Durant did at OKC. You look at OKC, he had Russell Westbrook, was a former MVP of the league. He had James Harden, was a former MVP of the league on his team as well. When you have two players that caliber on one team and you can't win a championship, what does that say about you as a ball player?
Is KD the most like spoiled player in NBA history? As you mentioned, he got Harden, Westbrook, then he got Curry, Clay, then he got Kyrie, Harden, then he got Booger and Bradley Beal. It's like, come on, man. And you only won in Golden State?
Well, it's true, because if you look at Kevin Durant's career, Kevin Durant's never won a championship without Steph Curry. In fact, the man's never been to a finals during a full NBA season or a full playoffs during a full 8 game without Steph Curry. The only time I ever got it was during a lockout season. And like I said, when you win a title, when you get to the final lockout season, guess what? It's a shortened season. It's still an asterisk, in my opinion. It still counts
me
towards
too, but
NBA.
people are gonna say, but it doesn't matter. Come on, man.
So like when people look at when LeBron James won his first title, he won his title during a lockout short season when half the playoff teams in the East were hurt that year. But people always want to overlook those factors.
2012 and 2020.
Yeah, you have to look at the bubble too. Like, the bubble was like legit. Like people, no, it wasn't. The season was postponed for months. The season was shortened, for crying out loud. They even postponed games during the middle of the damn playoffs too, for crying out loud. I mean, come on. There was no travel for the bus. And look, traveling makes a big difference. When you have to travel less, guess what? That is a huge factor. It plays massive, because people don't think jet lag plays a big factor. You know what I'm saying? When you have to travel from place to place, you know what I'm saying? It's a huge factor. I don't know how many times, because I've flown from Europe to the Middle East, and let me tell you, when you have to travel for long period of time, constant move, it takes a toll on you, mentally, physically, on your body. Exactly, it's draining. And people don't look at it. And when you don't have to travel, guess what? It's a big difference. And like, well, if the bubble was hard, dude, you were playing Disney World next to the Disney princesses. Come on now, seriously? I mean, you guys were act like you were playing in the middle of Iraq or something. Yep. Come on.
And there wasn't any crowd behind the backboard. That might be one of the reasons that we saw a lot of like nice percentage from three, from the mid range, a lot of scoring. There wasn't any crowd behind the backboard. The rim.
No, of course not. Yeah, no, not just that. Like when LeBron won his championship in the bubble, everyone's like, he said, everybody, like, give me my damn respect. Like, first of all, I hated the fact, I disliked the fact. That's not how to hate. Disliked the fact that he said it. Why? Because respect is not given.
It's earned. Come on, man.
You don't give it. You have to earn respect. You have to earn it. When you're demanding people to give it to you, then that makes people not want to respect you. It doesn't.
And
it does. And you have to add context too. I mean, look at that. Okay, who he beat in the first one? He beat Portland. Don't forget, Dame got hurt in that series. McCollum was playing with an inner back in that series, which people seem to forget, okay, as well. You look at the Miami series. Miami wasn't healthy. Goran Dragic was hurt. Bam was hurt in that series as well too. Let's add context here.
And it is not a coincidence that the best version that we've seen in the last couple of years of AD was in the bubble. Or let me ask you this: have we ever seen the same production from LeBron and AD the last couple of years in the playoffs after the bubble?
I think we saw sparks of it here and there during these playoffs, here and there, but not consistently. We saw it in moments here and there, like, okay, they played really well together, and they're like, okay, they didn't. You know what I'm saying? I look at Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is a very talented ball player. He's definitely got a top 5 talent for sure. But when I look at him, the Lakers are paying him right now like he's a bona fide number 1
superstar
franchise. They're paying him like a game-changing, altering player. Like he's going to change their life forever. I mean, they're going to be paying this guy $62 million over the last 3 years of his contract. He got the biggest contract than anybody in NBA history this offseason. Why would you give a guy who can't even play 60 games or more during the last 3 years. The man hasn't played. The man's only played 60 plus games more once in the last 5 years. That's it. Once in the past 5 years.
Doesn't want to play center.
Oh,
LeBron said that he's the face of the franchise. Maybe this is like a marketing campaign by Clutch Sports.
You know, and then I hear Darvin Ham wants him to shoot 6 3-pointers per game. I'm like, 6 threes per game? This guy's not a 3-point shooter.
Bro, do you know what
Anthony
Davis shoot for his career from 3?
I think it's not very high.
30%.
I think it's, yeah, exactly.
So it's like I thank you for bringing that point, man. So pay attention. AD has to be the best defender, the best rebounder. He has to score. He has to shoot threes now. He's the best. He's the face of the franchise. He has to be reliable. He has to be consistent. And people, and it's like, bro, if AD has to do all that for the Lakers to have a successful season, I said this before, he's carrying a legion of role players. If AD has to do all that for the Lakers to be successful, he's carrying a legion of role players. If AD does that and gets a championship doing all that, AD, we got to give him respect. We got to take our head off for AD, bro.
Yeah, but I look at the Lakers, their offseason this year. I don't think they had a bad offseason. My problem with their offseason is this, though. I think a lot of people overhype their offseason. Because if we start adding context to their offseason, like example, like they brought back D'Lo. Why did you bring back a guy who literally became unplayable in the the biggest moment of the season, and you had to bench him, and yet you brought him back, and you paid him more money than Austin Reeves, who performed better than him did? That made absolutely no sense whatsoever. Why would you do that?
Probably they're going to trade him, right, at the trade deadline.
But even still, though, what kind of example? Oh, hey, Austin Reeves, you played great, you know, and we like you, but we're going to pay this guy a little bit more to you, even though he underperformed when it mattered the most, and we had to bench him. You sent a wrong example to the guy who did play. It was like, oh, like performing well doesn't mean shit then. You know, you can perform like crap and still get paid more.
And
that makes no sense.
When was the last time the Lakers started with a group and ended with the same group?
Exactly. You know, then we look at like they went out and got Gabe Vincent. Like, oh, Gabe Vincent, nice. People, Gabe Vincent shot 40% from the field last year. 40%.
Damn.
People forget this. That's how bad he shot during the season last year. And go back to last season's finals. He shot 20% or less from the field. Last 3 games of the NBA Finals, he was bad shooting the ball from the field. He was almost unplayable at the end of the finals, literally, because he couldn't shoot. He couldn't shoot shots. He was knocking anything down. And how are you going to say this guy's going to be? How are you going to say to me say he's better than Schroeder? Schroeder just took Team Germany and led them to a world championship and beat teams on the way to doing it. And you're going to tell me he's better than Gabe's better than him? I don't buy that. I'm not believing that shit one bit. Not one bit at all.
And as you mentioned, it's a lot of big up, you know, or to promote your team. You know, it happened with Denver. I said this shit before. It's like, what's easier? What's easier to say that Denver, to follow the narrative that Denver lost a lot of depth and they lost Bruce Brown and Jeff Green? What's that? What's easier to say that or to look at what Denver got in the rookies? It's like if I said this. If someone tells me, oh, Denver got worse, they lost bench players from the bench and shit, I would ask them, name me the rookies that Denver took. Would they know the names of the rookies for Denver? Probably not, right?
Exactly.
It's like easier to say, oh, yeah. Denver got worse, and they lost bench players, and it's easier to do that to look into the team.
Well, I look at Denver as a team, though. I do think Bruce Brown's a little bit of a loss for them because he did play really well for them last year, though.
Definitely.
You know, he was a very big impact. He was a very big impact player. I want to see who's going to fill his role because, like I said, you know, in the playoffs, we already know in the playoffs the rotation shortens in the playoffs, of course. But during the regular season, though, you do need depth to survive an 82-game season when it's fine like that. And depth does matter, especially if key players get hurt. Now, we know, like I said, Jamal Murray's got hurt in the past before. So, you know, we hope he doesn't get hurt again this year, of course, always like that. But you never know.
Porter Jr.
You know, if he does get
Porter
hurt,
is dealing with a little nagging injury, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so you got to be careful of that too, because that's where depth comes into play. Though, if you don't have depth, though, you won't make it through a season if you don't have the depth. That can really derail you. I mean, the difference between you being a top seed in your conference to dropping that down a 6, 7 team fighting for a playing tournament spot. We saw a lot, last year. Looking with Minnesota, Cat missed a significant time last year.
Yep.
And it forced Minnesota to have to be in the playing tournament. It hurt them dramatically. I mean, they got to the playoffs, but if Cat wouldn't have been out there as long as he was, would they have been higher last year? That played a factor too, as well. So you got to look at it. Look at Miami. Miami didn't shoot the ball particularly well last year, as well. They were a really bad offense team most of the year last year. Or on the team, when people seem to forget, and that really affected, why they were in the position they were in last year. Why they had to grind all the way through to get through the playing tournament, to get through the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So people say, "Oh, the regular season doesn't matter." The regular season absolutely 100% does matter. Okay? I mean, if you don't do well, you're not making the playoffs. You're just not. Or you're going to be fighting for a playing tournament spot, like we've seen with the Lakers last few years. You know what I'm saying? We've seen with Minnesota the last couple of years.
Or the Clippers, that they've been like going through the motions in the regular season, and they haven't achieved anything.
No, you can't, because during the regular season, you got to count things. You can't just say, "Oh, well,
and build habits.
You
got to build camaraderie, habits, and develop that chemistry.
You can't play crap for like half the season or wait till the freaking All-Star break. Oh, wait, now it's the All-Star break. Now we got about 20, 30 games. Let's go and play basketball. You can't do that. You got the better start to get off. Like for example, Lakers last year. Lakers were 2-10 last year to start the season last year. But when you get off to that bad of a start, it puts more pressure on you to have to make up that ground later on. And eventually, that ground you have to make later on will come back to haunt you later on during the year. And eventually, it cost the Lakers in the end. But they got swept in the conference finals.
But for some people said, "Oh, it was the closest sweep, the closest swept in NBA history. It was very close and close and close, and Denver won by 1 point, and Denver won by 0.5 points."
To me, I don't care if you lose by fucking 1 point or 30 points. A sweep is still a sweep. You get swept, you got swept. You didn't win a single game, you still got swept. Period.
It's crazy, man. It says, we got a comment here. Monster defender John Stockton, leader, steals and assists all time. Booger Mamba mentality is the leader. Oh, come on, man. Let's not put Mamba mentality next to Booger, man. We've seen that before with Tatum. People saying that Tatum got the Mamba mentality. KD, most ability, skills, points ever since, but it's not good defenders. But we'll see, man. I don't want to take more advantage of your time. The last question that I got for you, I don't know if you saw the GM survey this year.
I remember being talked about on Players' Choice, though, but everybody was kind of talking over each other, though.
Damn.
So it was kind of hard to hear everybody's views when they were talking about it. But I heard bits and pieces, but not the full extent of it.
I just got one question about this. I think it was 50 questions that the GM has to answer. It says, if you were starting a franchise today and could sign any player in the NBA, who would it be? Give me a guess. Who do you think is the number one player?
I would say for me, it's probably Jokic.
Wow, not 33%. Nikola Jokic. I agree too. He's 28 years old and he's on his prime. Number two, who do you think it was number two?
I would probably say Giannis, probably.
Facts. To me, it was a disrespect. It was a disrespect to Giannis not putting number two. Number two was Victor Wembanyama. I respect Victor. I've been studying him before the draft. I've been watching his game when he played the other day. But to me, how the hell do you put Victor Wembanyama as the second best, as the second player that you were to pick to start your franchise? How?
Yeah, because listen, I think Victor's a very talented ball player. I think when he first starts his career, I think he'll be a really good defender when he first starts. You know what I'm saying? But I think his offensive game, I think he's got the offensive package, but I think it's going to take time to develop in the game because I think the Spurs are going to try to focus more on him, be more of a defender at first because of his size and his length. He does, like I said, he needs to bulk up a little bit more because he doesn't have enough upper body strength up there to bang down below. Because if you put him a guy like Embiid, who's a lot bigger than he is, Embiid can body him down below because he's much stronger than he is. Or a guy like Jokic, those guys will just body him because they're too strong for him. And I'm not saying that Wimmer is not very talented. And sure, could he be a face of a franchise? Absolutely, the talent's there. But can we just wait and see first?
Yeah.
Can we see the guy play some regular season games?
He hasn't played one regular season game, not one. And it's something similar to, do you remember when Zion was playing in Duke and people were saying, oh, Zion, he's playing in college, but he's a top 30 player in the NBA. Really?
Yeah, I just, like there's some players, when they come into the NBA, you can just say, okay, that dude's it. When we look at a guy like Wilt Chamberlain, people forget Wilt Chamberlain was a Harlem Globetrotter for crying out loud, so everybody could see his skills beforehand. You know what I'm saying? When you watch a guy like freaking Larry Bird, Magic Johnson were competing for national champions in college. You look at
Magic,
Kareem.
Kareem.
He was one of the greatest collegiate players ever in fucking basketball. You know what I'm saying? They look at a guy like Patrick Ewing. People overlook Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing was competing for national champions almost every year in college, literally. You know what I'm saying? So when you got a guy that every year, all the time in college, you can say this guy's going to be a pretty good ball player. And then some other guys he has potential. He could be this great thing. And they turn out to be a total bust. No, he's like, certain players you just know. So everybody's like, okay, that dude right there, he's got it. You see the intangibles. You see it in him. Like with Michael Jordan. When Michael came in the league, man, you knew Michael was going to dominate. And this guy won a gold medal in the Olympics before he even came into the damn NBA. Come on. Seriously. How many players win a gold medal in the Olympics before they even come into the NBA play a single game? That's almost unheard of almost.
Yeah, and it was a coach when he won in '84 the Olympic medal that he said he's the best player, he's the greatest player that I ever seen before he got into the NBA.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When you look at certain guys, you can just tell when they come in the NBA, they're going to be that guy. You can just see that they're going to be that game-changing, like Shaq. If you watch Shaq in college, man, you can tell that Shaq was going to be a force. When
in LSU, right?
I think so, yeah. You can just tell when you watch Shaq play in college, you knew he was going to be a force. You were like, this guy's going to be dominant. He's going to dominate the league. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Where they got in the league. When you saw Kevin Durant at Texas, even though Kevin Durant was at Texas for a very short time, but he said, okay, Kevin Durant's, he's got some. You can see the intangibles. You can see the shooting ability. Even with Jason Kidd, people didn't hype up Jason Kidd when he came out of college, but you can see the intangible with Kidd when he was in college though too as well. You can see his passing ability, his defense. We knew his shooting wasn't there, but we saw the other things too as well about him.
He was tough.
He was tough too. He had that toughness to him too. So certain players you can just see if you watch them in college and you really observe them really quickly, do they have that mentality about them? Do they have that willingness to battle hard? Do they have the willingness to put the work ethic in? Do they have room to improve their game? You know what I'm saying? And some players okay, that guy is like, no. And some players okay, it's like, when people look at Jokic. Jokic got drafted during a Taco Bell commercial for crying out loud. Come on. That was
in the second round.
That's one of the biggest insults in NBA history, almost. I think so. But if anybody looked at his tape when he was playing in Serbia, though, the intangibles were already there already. If you just looked at the way he played, you know what I'm saying? He didn't have the bulk he has now, no. But you saw the skill set. The skills were there. You know what I'm saying? You saw the ability was there. You saw the playmaking ability. You saw he had the ability to score.
But there are some people. I watched a video that got released a couple of days ago about Jokic, and there was someone who said, "Oh, I watched 10 minutes of Jokic tape. He didn't dunk once." It's like, as you mentioned, some people put their focus on skills and other things, but some people still wanna like trying to put this label of a center to be dominant inside and to dunk, and that's way you value a center, like how many dunks he has, and that's different. Has changed. The games has changed.
Oh yeah, of course, because look at a guy like Keem Olajuwon. He's just dunking everybody the entire time. No, Keem was using post-up moves, post fakes on guys,
soft touch,
jump shots, soft touch as well too. You know what I'm saying? He was doing different things to get his points. You know what I'm saying? You don't always have to be this, a guy who just dunks the ball. Not everybody's Dominic Wilkins, okay? Don Wilkins was a human highlight reel for crying out loud. He can just attack them with force. Or Sean Kemp or Michael. Not everybody's those kind of players. You know what I'm saying? You have different kinds of players. You know what I'm saying? As well. You know.
And sometimes I think it's hard to evaluate or to talk about a player if he is not athletic, you know, because the first thing that we are gonna say about a player that shows out in highlights and things like Ja Morant, oh, he's athletic, he can dunk, but we like that overshadows sometimes other deficiencies on his game, you know.
Yeah,
that's a fact, man.
It's like when people look at a guy like John Stockton, you know what I'm saying? They look at him like, oh, he looks like the guy next door, you know what I'm saying? Like he could be like your freaking, you know, the guy who delivers your milk to you. Yeah, really. But if you look at John Stockton, though, this guy was tough as nails, man. He was tough for a guy who was 6'1". You know what I'm saying? Because I remember there was a story about Chris Webber. He was talking about one time when he was playing against John Stockton, he literally knocked Stockton out on purpose to get him off his game because he wanted to see what he was going to do. And Stockton got right up, smacked him on his ass, said, "Good hit." And Chris Webber just I said, "What can I do? There's nothing I can do about it." It's like, come on. It didn't save him at all.
There was another story that I heard. I don't remember who it was, that he said like John Stockton threw the ball at his face because he was guarding him 94 feet, and then John Stockton said like back the fuck off, you know.
Yeah.
John Stockton was going at it.
Yeah, people look at a lot of those players back then, you know, say, oh, those guys weren't tough back then, you know, those guys. But let me tell you something. Back in those era, man, it was a different time period, a different era. Back then, you not only had to be physically tough, you had to be mentally tough too as well. You know what I'm saying? Because it was as much physical as mental. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of guys would play mind games with you, try to psychologically get you out of your game. Look at Bird.
The shit talking, bullying.
Bird would do it all the time. I mean, looking back in the 80s, him and Dr. J got into a feud once. They got no fist by each other back in the day too. Yep. Even Kareem went to punches with guys back in the day too, with people seem to forget as well too. It wasn't just the Patrick Ewings, the Oakleys. Those guys did it too back in the days. You know, because it was their competitor. You know, and if you back then, you know, couldn't take it, and guess what? You weren't going to last. You know, and that's why I look at the players today. The players are very talented. They're very skilled. No one debates that question. But the question is, if you took some players today, will they have the mental toughness to survive those errors? Is some guys in your face talking trash to you? You know what I'm saying? Or some guys get into you, you know what I'm saying? You know, or some guys willing to throw down with you. Or you're going to be willing to do the same thing. Even Reggie Miller, look at Reggie. Reggie's a skinny little dude. But I even saw Reggie throw down with dudes, for crying out loud, and get mixing with guys. I mean, it's crazy, you know? I mean, even role players. I mean, look at P.J. Brown. I thought P.J. Brown hip tossed a guy over his head once, for crying out loud. I mean, come on. Even Rex Chapman back in the day was talking trash to Michael, for crying out loud. I mean,
when he scored like 39 on Michael, right?
Yeah, he was like, yeah, Mike, yeah, what? I mean, even role players would talk trash back then. I mean, that's crazy back then. But back then, you know, you had to have that mentality back then. Otherwise, you'd get bullied back then. You would just get bullied ball back then. Guy would punish you. You know what I'm saying? They would. They would just run you off the court.
It was this what is called the only the strong survives. It was like some type of mentality like that, right? You know.
Absolutely. You know, that's the thing. Like the bad boy Pistons, they preached that. You know what I'm saying? Only the strong survive. That was their mentality. You know what I'm saying? We fight to the finish. You know, we battle nonstop for 4 quarters. You know what I'm saying? That's how it was. The Knicks were the same way with Patrick and Knicks. Hey, we battle. We go to war.
Miami.
Yeah, even Miami, even the Pacers. You know, those teams, they battled back then. You know, it was a battle. You know, look at the Celtics and Philadelphia rivalries back then. It was a battle. Those teams went at each other. You know what I'm saying? It was like, hey, bring your A game. If you don't, you're gonna get wiped out. They're not gonna show pity on you, and they don't care. They're like, I'm gonna talk trash. I don't give a damn. I'm gonna school you. What you gonna do about it? Stop me. Come and stop me then. And that's just how it was back then. Nowadays, if you stay at to play, like, oh my God, my feelings got hurt. Oh.
And you have given these players of this generation a lot, you know. Players back then they were not like earning 30 millions a year. You didn't got like role players getting 30, 35, close to 40 millions.
No, look at Dylan Brooks, look at the contract he got this year. I mean, seriously, Dylan Brooks. I mean, come on. I mean, he got like 20-some million.
Yeah, but
I mean,
I think we need players like Dillon Brooks. You know, like in the fact of I like Dillon Brooks because he went at LeBron, he went at Curry. You know what I'm saying? We need. I think we need more.
I think Dillon Brooks is like, he's a very interesting player. You know what I'm saying, like that and stuff. And I think he's something that the league needs more of, a little bit more. I think a little bit more guys like him. But at times, though, I think he tries to be too much like Dennis Rodman, and stuff like that, but not every Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman, yeah, you know, the antics don't say it like that. You know, Dennis Rodman could get away with that shit stuff because Dennis Rodman was tough as nails. I mean, you talk about a guy who was fierce. He was fierce. You know what I'm saying? You know, those guys. You know, you had enforcers back in the day too, like Charles Oakley. But Oakley wasn't a enforcer though. You know, Oakley would. You know, you come in Oakley go back at you, and then Oakley wouldn't care. Or Anthony Mason, you go with those guys, they're gonna come back at you. They're gonna like, okay, you want to go with me? Fine. Or a guy like P.D. Brown, you know, even the Davis brothers in Indiana, you go at them, they're gonna come back at you. They're not just gonna back down. They're gonna come at you for a fight. You better prepare to throw down with them. If you're not, you're not gonna last. That's just who they were. But Dillon Brooks though, like sometimes he'll charp at guys though. But I think if you go toe to toe with Dillon Brooks though, I think if he goes with a real guy though, he's like, okay.
No, and we saw when LeBron got close to him when they were going in the playoffs, and LeBron was talking to him, and Dillon Brooks looked kind of shaky. I have to say it. He looked shaky.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying to you. You know, that's why I call guys like him are kind of like fake tough guys. You know, they act really tough, but when push comes to the metal, when they get against the guy who's going to say, okay, you want to go at me? Okay, fine. Let's see what you got, and I'm going to come at you. You know what I'm saying? And let's see if you can handle it. You know what I'm saying? See, like I said, like Robin. If you went at Robin, like, okay, Robin, like, come at me. I don't care. I'm not going to back down from you. I'm going to come at you. I'm not going to show. Or Oakley, those guys. Hey, you want to come at me? Come at me then. I don't care. Or Patrick Ewing, those guys. Hey, you come at me. I'm going to come back at you. And then that was their guys' mentality back then. But these players nowadays, like, oh, I'm like Draymond Green. Like, oh, Draymond, he's a tough guy. I'm like, that stuff he did with Jordan Poole and Sabonis. If he would have tried that shit back in the day, I guarantee you, those guys would have not taken it. No way in hell. If he'd have punched Jordan Poole like that to Reggie Miller,
and that talks about Draymond Green too. He preyed upon the weak. Did he punch Tristan Thompson? Did he punch LeBron James? He punched the weakest one, the one that wasn't gonna go back and forth with him. You know, Jordan Poole talks a lot of trash. But Draymond Green prey upon the weak, and I've been very, very, very critical of Draymond punk ass drink. You know.
Yeah, I like. Listen, I think Draymond Green is a very good player. He's a very solid player. No one debates his skill set. He's a very good passer defender.
And he's IQ.
But yeah, I mean, no questions about it. You know what I'm saying? I think he's a very solid player. But you know, to me, you know, when I look at Draymond Green, you know what I'm saying? To me, people are, oh, he couldn't have played back in that era. No, he couldn't have. No, because as soon as he would have ran his mouth recklessly, let me tell you something. He would have got put in place really fast and really quick. If he would have gotten that, because those guys back then, he would have never tried that crap to have those guys back then. With a guy like Oakley or Rodman or a Ewing or Reggie Miller or someone, even or Isaiah Thomas. You know, those guys aren't going to take us. They're not going to take his crap. They don't care.
Ring Mahorn.
Yeah, exactly. Those dudes don't get at you. They don't get. I mean, hell, I've even seen a guy like Mark Price. I've even seen Mark Price getting in a feud with dudes too, for crying out loud. You know what I'm saying? And he's a little dude. I mean, I've even seen Stockton, a guy like him, a guy like Smart, go at dudes and not be afraid of them. I'm like seriously? I mean, come on. What are we talking about here? You know what I'm saying? It was a different time for different era. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying the players today aren't tough. There are some very tough players in the league today. But if you look at the players back then, boy, whew, I would be afraid to get on the court with some of those dudes, man. Like I don't want to go on the court.
Yeah, that's the difference. They put fucking fear in your heart once you hit the floor.
Yeah, because like I remember once I heard an interview with Shaq one time. He would literally knock guys in the floor so they wouldn't dunk on him. He would literally knock guys on purpose so they wouldn't dunk on him. He would just do it on purpose, wouldn't care. I'll just dunk before, don't care. You know what I'm saying?
And the hard closeouts too.
Yeah, exactly. You look at Bill Laimbeer. Laimbeer didn't care who you were. He never cared how you were. He didn't care if you were Larry Bird, Dr. J. He didn't give a damn who your ass was. He'd lay you out. He didn't give a damn. He didn't care. You know? I
always remember when Oakley got grabbed Pippen by his shirt and was looking like a little kid. That was crazy, man. And that was Scotty. That was Scottie Pippen, and he got quote unquote punked by Big Oak.
Yeah, I miss those time periods in the NBA though, because that back in those days, you know, I see a lot of the younger generation when they talk about the old days, they kind of disrespect it a lot too. You know, there are some young generation people who don't, and the ones who don't, I really appreciate they don't. They really still respect those era generations who literally paved the way for this era, for these players today. Because without those players, you don't have these players today. Without Bird, you have no Kevin Durant. You know, so you just don't. You know,
they set the table for this generation.
I mean, absolutely no question. But without those guys, you don't get these players nowadays. You know what I'm saying? They don't. People talk about this player, that, but without those players, you don't have these players. You just don't. You know, before people like about Luka, like, oh, Luka. But before there was Luka, there was the Big O. The Big O came before Luka, okay, and stuff. I mean, come on, what are we talking about here? You know, let's not forget this. You know, but oh, Steph Curry. Even before Steph Curry, there was a logo, Jerry West. The logo, people forget logo couldn't play or something, you know? And so if they're like, oh, there's the Carmelo Anthony, all guys. But people forget, what about Rick Barry? Did people forget about Rick Barry? Rick Barry was a very good scorer, very good shooter in his day. Did people forget this? You know? That's what I'm saying to you. People forget those kind of players. They just do.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. It has been a great conversation. I appreciate you, G-Mag, man, for being here with me in my show, man. I really appreciate it. I learn a lot when you come here. So let's try to keep doing this, man. I really appreciate you and the work that you done, man.
Hey, no problem, man. It's nice to talk to, you know, someone like, you know, that's willing to, you know, listen, you know, like, you know, have the facts break into them. Because I don't have a problem with the younger generation nowadays, but, you know, I look at, like, them on Players' Choice. I see a lot of the younger guys who are talking basketball, some of them, and the way they disrespect the older eras or don't give it the proper due it deserves, it just astonishes me. It's like really? And some of you guys weren't even born when some of these guys were even playing. And what makes it even more surprising that some of the young guys, they talk, oh, I watch the games, but most of them even admit they don't even watch the games a day. So if you're not watching the games a day, then how do you think believe you're watching the games back then?
That's horrible, man. That's a great point, man. I can understand if you didn't watch obviously games back in the day, but if you are not watching basketball nowadays, it's like, come on, man.
Because I once heard Dub when he was on Players' Choice once. He said, "Yeah," I said they had a topic once, and he was saying, "Yeah, I didn't really watch the game." But then he started talking about, like, how are you going to talk about something you didn't watch? But then sit there and say you watched the games back then. There's no way you're doing it. I look at most of the young guys. I'm not saying all young guys this, but I think some of the young guys, some of the young guys, they go back and they watch tape the old games for like 15, 20 minutes. They take some notes. And then when someone like me come up there, who's a little bit older, who actually grew up in that time or watched that era, you know, studied the players, learned the players' game, how they played back then. And if I say even one little thing, they say, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's full of crap. We know. It's like, dude, most of you weren't even born at that time period. I'm like, seriously? It's like...
And I've been saying this, a lot of young people or people in general that we pay attention and look talking about basketball, they are great. They are great at debating and making arguments and talking and communicating. But sometimes you have to have that. Plus, you have to be a student of the game. A student of the game is like all basketball, new basketball, all media, new media. You can always keep learning. And that's something that I've been trying to do, you know, for the last couple of 3-4 years.
Yeah, and that's why I like when the younger people like yourself, you know, say who's a little bit younger than me, you know, saying like they go back, they actually pay attention, they watch the game, they actually study the game, look at the game films, you know, how the game was played back then, you know what I'm saying? And I see a lot of young YouTubers like, hey, this guy really knows what he's talking about. He's really paying attention, he's really focusing, and I don't mind listening to a guy. But when I have to listen to some of the guys on Players' Choice, though, who are young and like that, and they're making these ridiculous takes, though, that are completely blasphemy, I'm like, what are you guys doing? It's like, come on. Are you guys even watching this?
And that's another point. It's like they like to talk a lot. They like to give their takes, but they are not like asking questions. To me, that's something that I've learned a lot too. It's like learn to ask questions and to learn from other people. If I would be surrounded by people of my age, it wouldn't be the same. I need people with a lot more experience. I need to learn from them. I got to ask them questions, you know, like Kobe, when he got into the league, he went to Gold Mountain, Bird, Hakeem, Magic, Big Robertson, Jerry West, Bill Russell. It's like, I got to learn from these people, man.
Yeah, it's true, you know, those guys, you know, because you can learn a lot from an older generation too, that they can teach you a lot, you know, so they can teach you, you know, these things, like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So thank you for that. And you can use that. Like, we look at Bruce Lee, the martial artist, you know, he would just say, I don't just study one style. I said all different kinds of styles. So I can learn different things, you know what I'm saying? So I can become, you know, better at what I do. You know what I'm saying? That's how you grow. That's how you evolve as an individual, is learning different things. You know, not just being about being narrow-minded and having tunnel vision. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I mean, I like when the young people like this, like yourself, and like a lot of other people, when they're willing to listen. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh, I said, oh, I didn't know that. Thank you for teaching me. I really, I can take some of that and I can pass on to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And if a young person like says something like, hey, I didn't know that. Thank you for teaching me that. You know what I'm saying? No, you can learn from each other. You know what I'm saying? And that's an important thing. You know? But when you see a lot of these younger YouTubers, guys, they don't want to do that. Some of them, they don't want to learn. They don't want to hear your point of view. But say you can learn something. You know what I'm saying? You might learn something valuable that can help you.
And in life in general, it's not something about basketball. It's in life in general too, right?
Oh, absolutely. It can apply in your life too as well, in your personal life too as well. How it can affect you, how you look at things, how you do things, how you approach things, how you approach with people, how you behave in a certain way. All those things play factors in this too, as well.
That's a fact, man. Wow, it was an incredible show. I will cut this part and I will upload it to my YouTube channel. So thank you, man. Thank you once again for being here with us. It's always a great conversation with you, man, when you come on in my show, man.
Hey, man, no problem. Hey, like I said, I started my channel too, the 𝕮𝕳𝕴 show already. So I've been making a video for the last couple of weeks. So I want to continue talking about. I'm starting my NBA video starting next week about the whole.
Oh, really? Wow. I think I'm already subscribed, if I'm not mistaken. But I'll be watching that, man. I gotta watch it, man.
Yeah. I've been talking about the NFL so far because it's like been hectic. And I'm promoting like horror movie month as well too. As well, it's been really busy for me lately. So it's been one thing after another, but I enjoy doing it though. I love doing it though. I have fun doing it.
Cool, man. So go and check 𝕮𝕳𝕴. What's the name of your YouTube channel? 𝕮𝕳𝕴?
𝕮𝕳𝕴 show. You can find me on YouTube and TikTok.
Wow, that's incredible, man. It's always a pleasure to have 𝕮𝕳𝕴 here with us, and hopefully we can have it in the future too. So that was it. Until next time, thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Much respect, man.
Thank you, man. Much to you, man.
Until next time, everybody. This was like a mixture between Spanish and English show. So hopefully you enjoy it, and we'll be back in the next episode. So until next time, shout out to everybody. Thank you, everybody, for watching us. Thank you, obviously, to 𝕮𝕳𝕴.